Hey, this is Chris from the Ticket Stub. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Born to be kings, we're the princes of the universe.
It's 9:30, March 13th, 2020, here on Dick and Skippy in the mornings. Hanging out, broadcasting live on Lone Star Community Radio, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, worldwide at irlonestar.com and irlonestar.org. And we're hanging out. We got Capt'n Rick coming into the studio. We have Dennis O'Connor and Rick Sellers coming in at 10 o'clock. Talk about a new show on Lone Star Community Radio, the Capt'n Rick Show. We're going to learn all about that, so stay tuned. Until then, it's going to be Skippy and I just chatting up. I know a lot of folks are kind of hunkering down and thinking about Soul beer and not Corona beer, but it's almost hit the craziness. My wife was at the HEB on the Loop 336 heading west on 105, and she said it was pretty insane.
Yeah, I've been seeing some places going, hey, we got stuff here. We don't. A lot of it depends on how well they're stocked. I hear that like outside of Costco or whatever, there's like a 2-mile long line.
I wonder if anyone has the cojones to go into their bathroom and take their toilet paper. Like that's when you know it's getting real bad. Or like that's how dire we need toilet.
I don't think we've reached that level yet, but it would be down the line. Now, forgive me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. Robots make toilet paper. They're not.
I thought it was made by 70-year-old plus ex-quilters, and they put it together for us.
Quilted. Hold on, let's turn this down.
Here we go.
There we go. But the toilet paper is still being made, and it will be delivered.
Well, my wife was freaking out.
And it will be restocked.
She got mad at me this morning for using the toilet paper, and I was like, you know what? I thought we was there to use, and I reassured her. I go, imagine if the average sale of toilet paper is 4 packages a day. So they keep stock of just enough to where they always have at least 4 packages a day. But if something like this happens, they sell 8 packages. So they're going to be a day behind. So it's not like it's gone. They're just going to restock it, and they're going to when they do the reorder, it's going to be a double reorder.
Yes. And meanwhile, it's still being made.
It will take a week.
Yeah.
And it's not like, and that's one thing I think that's really confusing to a lot of folks. And I think it started here locally with the Houston Livestock and Rodeo when they voluntarily closed or talking about closed, and the city of Houston was like basically saying, we're not going to allow any city events doing this. And that's when I think a lot of people go, oh, that means everything's done.
Well,
like no one's working at HEB anymore. No one's working at, the truck drivers are not delivering food anymore.
Yeah, and that's not the case. So, I went to an HEB the other night that went on Kirkendall near 2920 because it's on the way back from the theater. And it was about 10 o'clock at night, thereabouts, 10:30. And it was odd what people were getting or how much they were getting.
Well, the water one makes me laugh.
Yeah, because
right now. I'm not saying like this is like a
water and toilet paper because 2 things. First off, water, it's actually... My tap water is tons safer than the bottled water right now because no one's touched my tap except me. So that's number one, if for no other reason. Number 2, the toilet paper. Coronavirus does not cause stomach issues, and it doesn't cause a runny nose. So there's literally... Now, people are like, for a zombie apocalypse...
If anything, Sean, this tells us that the American public is always running on E when it comes to their toilet paper at home.
This is funny.
Because everyone goes, do we have to... when they see the funny Facebook stuff, like, wait a second, do we even have toilet paper?
Oh, yeah, I even looked, told the missus, be careful. But, I'm a Battlestar Galactica fan.
Now we're rationing toilet paper at the Skippy's house.
Did you see the 2000s Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah.
Okay, there was a bit where the president of the colonies is basically saying, because they're occupied by the bad guys. The bad guys are like, well, why are people revolting so much? We're trying to help them. And the president says, well, believe it or not, we don't have toilet paper. And he's going on about the importance, civilization depends on comfort, and toilet paper is like the litmus paper for that part in the pun, but this litmus test. So, the more toilet paper you have. But at the HEB the other night, because I just needed milk and some lunch meat. and so some of those Belia rolls just for lunch the next day and a gallon of milk. And that was it. And I'm seeing cart after cart filled with more Gatorade or water than you could possibly hope to ever drink. And
I'm kind of surprised grocery stores, which I don't know the law of it. I'm surprised, like, since Harvey, there isn't something where they kind of go, okay, we're going to, like, we're ratioing the food, so you can only buy 1 case of water per person and things like that. Because I know they did at one point with Harvey, started doing that, where they actually had officers there standing guard at the grocery stores.
Well, yeah, and I believe I think a disaster needs, not an emergency, I think a disaster needs to be proclaimed by the governor, which basically causes a quasi-martial law.
Yeah.
And because,
Wild West.
Because rationing is proper, but it's not popular in a free market economy.
Do whatever you want, man. Just go in there. I was telling Holly that. I was like, you should just go in there and just start causing some trouble. Because she did the curbside. Mm-hmm. She's a little person, as some people know, and I'm allowed to say that, okay? And
she's not a, quote, little person. She's just a little person.
According to the state of Texas, she's a little person.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she likes
Hobbit.
the curbside. She loves the curbside. She's been using the curbside ever since it was released over here. And so when she placed the order on Monday, she's like, hey, I'm going to pick it up on Thursday, because that's when we're going to run out of the food. And this is before the corona really got picked up. Mm-hmm. And then when yesterday, Captain Rick over here called me and he goes, hey, if you're going to go to the grocery store, I'd go. Because I just got out of one and I was like, so I immediately texted my wife. I was like, hey, I know you did the curbside stuff. Have they told you they canceled your order yet? And she's like, no, they've already collected it all yesterday. And besides the frozen stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see what we get. The only thing we didn't get was toilet paper. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing we didn't get out of all the delicious food I make her. We didn't get toilet paper. But
listener Misty points out, she's like, she wishes people would leave some baby formula for others because her boy needs it. She's got a baby. And absolutely, again, don't be the last person to grab it.
This is one thing I'm wondering. I see this on Facebook, is some people are going on Facebook saying, hey, I got some extra things of XYZ. And so it's like, if anyone wants some, let me know. And they're not saying, like, we're going to sell it at, like, a gouging price. But it's more of, like, we just carry a lot. Like, for example, the toilet paper situation in our house, I buy the Amazon Platt thing. So I get, like, 6 whole big packages.
Not anymore because they're out.
Well, I meant, like, that's what I buy. So we have plenty. And so I'm not really worried about it because it's between 2 people. But the reason I buy that is just so I don't have to deal with it. Because you never want to be in that scenario where you're like, oh, where's our toilet paper? So it's like, now I'm never going to have that problem ever again. That's one of the promises I made myself when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
But, and I'd see that. But do you think, like, the food banks and do you think the typical locations that provide stuff, they're going to be hurt by it? And
this is going to crush
is,
local economy pretty hard for a while.
Well, the next thing you're going to see is people stealing people's toilet paper from businesses. Like, people are going to go to McDonald's and start stealing.
Fortunately.
They're going to put locks on their toilet rolls.
Now, bear in mind that I spent much of last evening having,
how much did that cost you?
Not sponsored.
How much did that cost you?
Oh, I've had this for, like, months. Probably a year.
We have soap and water here.
Yeah, exactly. I have this on me for poops and grins, and a little thing, hand sanitizer. But I bought this like a year ago, I think. I just happened to have it because we all have a little travel thing of hand sanitizer. We don't need 6 tubs worth.
So I went bowling. I bowled yesterday.
You did,
and Holly was very worried about it. And I said, "Well, I wash my hands. We don't touch each other." And
don't you though?
I want to, but. But see, everyone was respectable. So everyone, like, I saw a couple people with the hand sanitizers. People were washing their hands, and they had a lot of napkins. And
that's respectful. Respectable is presenting yourself nicely.
Well, I meant more they didn't try to shake your hand when they see you. They weren't trying to high five you and stuff like that.
Right.
So to me, I was like, okay, people are aware of, like, don't what not to do. Because that's pretty much the general information going out today. Wash your hands for 20 seconds. Like, that's one thing I love is when the leaders get up on stage and start talking, and they all basically have the same talking points.
Yeah.
Because I listened to the Montgomery County judge. I listened to the one in Houston,
Harris County
judge. Oh, Harris County, or I guess it was U of H TV or whatever. there's a little box when you hit Facebook Live is to allow people to rewind. So they were broadcasting live, didn't allow anyone to rewind, and they were doing the whole thing in Spanish because that's what they do now is they do the first part in English. So I didn't have the first part, so they wouldn't let me rewind until the whole thing was done.
Yep.
And so just a heads up, U of H TV, if you want to, there's a little box that says allow users to rewind.
Right. So, we're going to try to be the voice of reason
No, we're
here.
not. I'm telling you, steal all the toilet
Is it Chicken Little?
Well, people had that idea of going into the restroom at HEB and taking their toilet paper.
And it's a sense of, here's the thing, getting down to it, and I say this with all my psychology degrees on the wall behind me, AKA none. It's a form of control that you're taking control of something. Hey, at least I'll have a clean butt.
I disgusted Holly because I said, worst case scenario, is the water out? And she's like, no. I was like, we just order a bidet. Like, just go on Amazon and order a bidet. And it does half the job. If you're really worried, I'm just saying, because things are still operating.
Yep.
I mean, Amazon.
This is not the zombie
Amazon's
apocalypse.
still
This is not
delivering
the
food.
rapture.
Yeah.
The robots are still making Charmin.
She was telling me some crazy stuff about Italy, though.
Yeah.
Because they're now in, she told me what they called it is medical triage. I forgot what the official word is. Basically, they're prioritizing younger people.
Yeah, basically, they're having to decide who lives and who doesn't.
Which reminds me of a game I used to play called Frostpunk, where people were in the blizzard and you had to make the hard decisions.
And unfortunately, it's already, there are those who just want to politicize dang near anything. But so we got, on one end, I got people going, "Whoa, Italy's got socialized medicine," which is true. However, in normal situations, Italy's Medicare healthcare system is good for what it is. It's just it's overwhelmed. But so on one end you go, look, socialized medicine people, they are determining who, which is true. They're determining who lives and dies. However, you got to take into account the per capita scenario that the hospitals are overwhelmed. And so, of course, you want to shut down borders. You want to put up walls. When you can't control the influx of people, especially when they may not be vaccinated or inoculated or even checked for their health.
Well, what's different about this, though?
Well, if you notice, what's funny is that the entire illegal immigration question is just not being talked about at all. About hey,
well, that's what I was
let's get a
saying. It's
wall
similar
up.
to the bowling thing where everyone understood what to do. Like for example, a lot of the elderly couples who bowl were not there.
Right.
Because I imagine they had some
I'm
conversation.
cautious because I'm in the...
Because we actually didn't bowl against anybody.
plus 50.
That's where I miss you, Doris and Bill.
But I'm plus 50,
Doug.
so I'm cautious. I'm not as contemptuous. Because this obviously is something that I'm concerned about my mother. The odds of her getting it are pretty grim. But I fussed at her yesterday because she had her housekeeper coming by, and I'm like, cancel her. Oh no, I can't do that. She needs the money. I'm like, then postpone it a week. But this woman's job is to
What we should do is just
meet as many
quarantine her.
people as possible and touch everything they've touched. So, and because my mom has COPD. My mom's on oxygen. If you remember,
Yeah,
we
no,
had
I understand.
the doctor on the air
Worst
the
case
other day.
scenario.
He's like, the only people who really need to worry about it if you're elderly and you have COPD. And so he checked off everything my mother has. So, of course, the odds are catching this are very, very, minuscule. But still, I did not want her housekeeper showing up yesterday. And
Well, you
I
can't
was
control
overruled.
everybody, Sean.
I can't.
Jeez.
I was overruled. So, hopefully Karen, the housekeeper, I hope you're okay, and I hope my mom's okay.
Well, I made a joke to Holly because she, like I said, she was a little upset with me going bowling. And I said, well, you work at a hospital. I mean, maybe you should quarantine yourself every time and just stay at the hospital.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, the grim...
She cares so much. I
the
love it.
non-funny haha, it's when you have a disease, like let's say the bubonic plague, it tended to wipe out the better people in the sense that, the bubonic plague was caused by the fleas on rats. So for centuries we thought it was the rats and we realized it was fleas on rats. Now, when people start getting sick, those who are good-hearted, first responders, nurses, medical personnel, they're the first ones on the scene. So they were
front lines.
And those who are hiding out and being chicken
survived
because they're hiding out. So unfortunately, disease like that wiped out the better part of humanity. And so for those who are first responders or medical personnel, like Holly, I got to tip my hat because they are on the front line. They are putting themselves at increased risk.
Well, that's one thing I love about her because she certainly cares, and she cares all the way, 100%.
Yeah.
And so,
One
for
can never
example,
accuse your wife of not
Yes.
being emotionally involved
And like
in any
when she got mad
situation.
at me about using too much toilet paper, I had to laugh. I was like, well, why do we have this here? Then like, this is the comfort of my own home.
Because she's thinking ahead to 6 months from now.
We're not being rationed here.
Here's the cool thing.
Yet.
Oh, by the way, look, my mommy's calling right now. Mom, if you're listening, I can't talk to you right now. I'll call you back on the commercial break.
She's probably upset that you called her out.
I called her out. You betcha I did.
But no, I think what's important for folks to understand is what I like to do is I like to talk to my friends who work in different industries and see how they're responding, because you really can't tell how things are really going until certain parts, like for example, the waterworks. Are we still open? Are we still purifying water over here?
Yes.
I mean,
nothing's changed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Literally.
Like, that's when you gotta have to kind of worry about it. And like my buddy Alan, he works at Lowe's. And what's
the cinema or the home
improvement store,
Okay.
and he told me, he goes, I go, do they tell you anything? Like, because I know y'all are touching everything, y'all are moving around. He said no, they just said follow the normal precaution. But what they did encourage folks is if you are feeling ill and if you go get tested, they will pay you. Mm-hmm. They'll still continue doing pay. So they didn't want people to feel like they have to work even if they're sick. They don't want you at work.
Yeah.
If you feel sick. And I think a majority of most places that are corporations are doing that. They're kind of encouraging, like, if you're sick, don't come here. Go there.
Well,
And it's probably a smart reason because they don't want to be known as Lowe's.
Exactly. No one does. And last night I was on some conference calls with like theaters and stuff like that. And I know like the Owen across the street, they've got their weekend run of Little Shop of Horrors, and every theater's having to weigh the benefits versus the assets versus the issues, the debits.
Well,
as it
what was
were.
Montgomery County was 250, right? That was kind of what the county judge.
250. Harris County.
And basically, the way I read it
rule.
was they don't have any control over it. They kind of said, "Don't do it."
Yeah, but here's the
But
thing.
we're not gonna tell you
There's
not
no
to do it
magic,
yet.
The odds, again, the odds are grim no matter what, but we're talking it's so infinitesimal anyways that whether it's 250 people or 150 people or 2,500, there will be, your chances can increase or decrease accordingly, but it's not like magically at 249,
like churches,
you're safe.
And movie theaters, like Chris is out of town, unfortunately, from the Grand. I really wanted to ask him. I was like, that sucks because spring break is a big weekend for the movie theaters. But then I was wondering, I was like, the mindset of folks would basically, from my understanding, the mindset is people don't really want to go anywhere, like regardless. Yeah. Like they don't want to go to the grocery store. Everyone
wants to hunker down and wait to see what happens.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. Now,
except for me,
this is
we're going to Italy. We get $300 to go.
Right, but here's the issue, like. For Stageworks Theater, which, I've been rehearsing Spam a lot, and there's a show going on right now, there was a heavy discussion about last night, and I'm not going to go into details. Excuse me, people don't need, you know how the sausage is made, but it's like every theater is having to ask themselves, we want to put the safety of people first, especially since older people
also
go to
facing
the theater.
with working with people, though. So what happens if your lead actor's like, I'm a germaphobe. I am not coming up here.
Well, there's that. You have to take that into consideration, but you also have to take into consideration this. Most theaters, when you put on a show, you've already had to pay for that show beforehand. Your licensing, which costs
rent.
So your tickets for that show is what keeps you afloat. It's not, you don't have anything in reserve. And remember, most theaters are nonprofits. You're not supposed to have extra money in the bank. So you plunk down $30,000 to put on a musical like Spamalot. You need to be able to sell, you tell them, we got to refill this money quick with ticket sales so we can put on the next show. And now with this suddenly being gone, this could be affecting two shows because the musical that's on right now, She Loves Me, it's a great musical, but very few people want to buy a ticket to it, or they're canceling their tickets. And so that is hurting the money that was put down on Spamalot, which is the next one up. And of course, right now people aren't buying a lot of tickets to Spamalot.
Well, I mean,
but the good news is, let me just finish off with this. Americans, A, are great at knee-jerk reactions for good or ill, and B, have notoriously short attention spans. In 2.5 to 3 weeks, we will either all be dead from some Stephen King super flu, or people realize, hey, I'm not dead, and they'll get over it. The market will correct itself. the economy is going to take a huge hit. A lot of small businesses, especially vendor-based businesses, are going to fail. My heart goes out to people like Margie Taylor, who is primarily an event-based business. Taylor
I was reading that she canceled 30 local events.
Exactly, and these are all things that.
Wait, let me ask you this, because I know we have about 10 minutes left here. When they start canceling like the NBA and things like that, do you think that the schedule for 2020 is like movies and all that kind of stuff? I think it'll be acceptable to shift it.
Yeah, that's what the big talk about is that shut down for the next 2 weeks. Excuse me, everyone stay at home, do whatever, let it run its course.
Yeah.
And then pick it basically, and that's like for Spam Methods, we were asking the casting crew yesterday, if we just stopped right now and in 2 or 3 weeks picked it up where we left off, and everything's moved back, how does your calendar look for that? And of course, it's disrupted to a lot of lives, but that may be what we have to do, suspend trading for 2 weeks. Now here's the thing, I think we were long overdue for a bear market anyways. You can't have day after day, year after year of record-setting heights, and sooner or later the market has to correct itself. Now, this is not a normal correction, but it's an oh hell moment.
I feel like there's a conspiracy theory coming.
That we've had. Well, if you want to go that route, coronavirus literally started the day after the final impeachment thing went away. If you want, to go down that route.
That to me is a movie right there, and I want to go down that route. I love that stuff.
Excuse me.
That one phone call, do it. Or what was that? What was that Star Wars Code 97? What was it?
Code 66, wasn't
66
it?
Something like that.
Kill all the
kiddos. I love that movie. I remember watching that episode 3. Or was it episode? Yeah, it was episode 3. And I was sitting there going like, oh, he's killing the kids. This is pretty crazy. And then that was a crazy thing. I was like, I can't believe Star Wars did that.
Yep. Well, they had to make him bad because before that he was just a whiny brat and replace the word brat with another word that begins with B. And
yeah, but they could have just kind of hinted that the Sith killed everybody.
Well, that was the whole point. In the original, when it's
but we had to see him go that far down.
He helped your father. Your father helped hunt down and kill the Jedi. The implication was that they were adults. They had to make him kind of bad, but it went overboard. There's no way you
could. The code word was like, "Hey, why don't you come down to Tahiti with me and drink a nice cold Corona?" And that was the key word.
Was that
the key word to release the virus?
That was it.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. But Lord forbid we'd say it's the Wuhan virus from China, because that's racist now.
Well, you think we're all going to become germaphobes after this?
Nope.
You think we're going to go back to our disgusting habits?
Yep.
Awesome.
Americans have notoriously short attention spans.
Yeah.
And I say that as an American, but I spent my life growing up overseas on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And that's what made us grow in 200 years, what most other nations couldn't achieve in 2,000 years.
Or they have to try to be clean.
Now, here's the major... I think there's a major... there can be 2 major takebacks from this, or takeaways, not takebacks. Number 1, when it comes to healthcare / employment... The sheer number of people who are being told, hey, work from home now, the implication is, okay, you can. And so that could become the new normal to let that happen. So where the corporate easing of showing up 9 to 5 could actually ease a little bit, assuming you don't have more states taking on that stupid California contractor freelance law, which is you can no longer be a contractor freelancer.
We're not going to that. That's another day. Let me ask you this, though.
But, and the other thing, hold on, I got to, excuse me, I'm sorry. So, between that and also, I just lost the thought. So never mind. Nope, you interrupted me, and my brain went off.
I was paying attention to everything.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. This is going to be kind of one of those questions that can be taken the wrong way. So, what do you think it takes for this scenario? Looking back on history, like say it's 10 years from now, when I look back during this time period, what do you think it takes for the numbers and the stats to really impact, like, basically the world? Because, like, you mentioned, like, the bubonic plague, and I'm like, we still talk about that. I don't really know the history. I know the word bubonic.
Literally wiped out half of Europe.
So I'm thinking to myself, well, that sounded pretty serious.
Yeah.
But like in the future, because there were people who were posting stuff about H1N1 and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of remember that, but I don't remember like
every year, particularly
I remember
every election
AIDS.
cycle.
I remember
has,
AIDS was scary. Like that was the scary thing.
Well,
in the
you've heard me
sense of-
talk about generationally, or every decade we have, acid rain is going to kill us, climate change is going to kill us, nuclear war is going to kill us, North Korea is going to kill us, net neutrality is going to kill us. It's become more and more. But now it's become literally pretty much every year or every election cycle year, there is something that's going to kill us. Ebola, H1N1, bird
speaking
flu,
of
swine
AIDS, did you
flu.
see that they cured? The second case was cured.
I saw that now.
So what's really creepy about that? I was reading more about it. You know how they cured it? It's part of a person who was born with an immunity to it. Mm-hmm. So they used samples of him. So I think it was 7th grade. It was like we were doing a creative writing thing, and I made a short story about a man who had the cure for a disease. It was in his blood. And what basically happened is society imprisoned him and barely made him alive while they could drip his blood.
Isn't that was kind of like that vampire movie where everybody's a vampire, so they're trying to keep like this one last human alive so they can keep on getting blood?
Well, no, that was Daybreak.
Daybreak!
But what they did was they were trying to hurt it, but they couldn't.
Yeah, when demand outpaces supply, that's what you get.
But no, I remember I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of that story I wrote because I thought that was really clever of me. But like I was like, I could totally see that happening, But then it did, so that's kind of cool. Congrats to that person, and there's progress there.
Yep.
So, but I mean, overall, that was the question I had. Like looking at an outside perspective of it, I was like, how much, like, what does it take though? Like, how many deaths does it really take? Because, like, for example, like Brett makes a big point about whoever's in charge is going to get blamed for something, no matter what they do, how they handle it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like you can kind of just say, not one death isn't acceptable. Mm-hmm. But then it's kind of like, well, what as a people, realistically, what is it like? What's a real threshold where we're like, oh man, we're going to be struggling for the next 20 years because we lost half our population, or something like that.
Unfortunately, it is a numbers game, and we'll take it back to HIV and AIDS. Under the Reagan administration, Reagan didn't even acknowledge it for years, and that caused a significant damage, and that was not one of the GOP's better moments in history.
Well, now everything's worked by robots, so it's
But with this, again, the numbers rate for flu is vastly superior. Now, here's the thing. Right now, they're saying, well, we have a 2.5% rate, which is comparable to Spanish flu. But so few over in America are being tested that we could have 300 million people infected with it right now, but only this number. Of the original 40 deaths, 30 were in Washington State, and 27 of those were in a single nursing home. And, you can track this. For some reason that I can't put my finger on, this particular, more than swine flu or H1N1 or bird flu or whatever, this one is freaking out people. Now, I think it's on top of the general freak out that Trump's in office, and it's adding to the general malaise.
Still trying to cope with it.
Yeah. I really think that's because we have become a society where you have to out-sick each other. It's not just enough that you got PTSD. You need to have PTSD with a service chinchilla. Well, I've got a service peacock because I'm more scared than you are. We've become that society.
Well, I think people listening, if you're concerned, wash your hands, be mindful of each other, and then check each other's passports.
Well, fortunately, I bathed in hand sanitizer today.
You approach people, go, papers, please.
Yeah, papers, please.
Papers, please.
But we got Rick and Dennis coming in the studio, so fortunately, I bathed.
Check their papers.
I bathed in hand sanitizer.
I sprayed the whole room with Lysol.
So we'll
let
them in with impunity. Don't go away. We will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Business office cleaning is available in the Montgomery County area from Clean Sweep Office Cleaning, with scheduled cleaning services such as floor care, window care, trash collection, restroom disinfection, and stair and elevator cleaning. Clean Sweep can service a business one time or on a regular schedule, with daily, weekly, and monthly options. Clean Sweep Office Cleaning can be found online at cleansweepofficecleaning.com or by calling 832-689-7996. Clean Sweep Office Cleaning, Take back your time and let us make your office shine. Mornings with Lone Star is sponsored by Clean Sweep Office Cleaning.
Are you one of those who feel that life is too short to drink bad coffee? Then come to Bean Pong Coffee. Bean Pong Coffee is open with 2 locations. Whether you're in downtown Conroe or historic Montgomery, we have the best fresh brewed and specialty coffee, delicious pastries, and courteous staff. Come visit us at 330 North Main Street in Conroe or 401 College Street, Suite 170 in Montgomery. Visit beanpongcoffee.com to see our complete list of special events.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Is there someone you know who is hooked on vintage aircraft? Follow the Commemorative Air Force and its fleet of World War II planes, including the mighty B-17 Flying Fortress Texas Raiders, which is based in Conroe, Texas. Texas Raiders tours locally and all around the United States, offering the public a chance to put their hands on aviation history. What could be a more perfect gift than a flight on a historic B-17? Taking to the sky on the iconic bomber is an experience that will never be forgotten. For the touring schedule, reservations, or more information, go to b17texasraiders.org or call 855-FLY-A-B-17.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with the Lone Star Community Radio.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
Born to be kings, we're the princes of...
Hey, welcome back. Dick and Skippy in the mornings. I'm the aforementioned Skippy. With me as always is Dick. It's 10:02 on the dot here in the muggy Lone Star Radio studio in historic downtown Conroe.
Muggy.
Muggy outside.
I mean, you know we can't hear you guys because you have a mask on, right?
Yeah. And with us, if you're seeing us on Facebook, God help us.
Oh, he brought his Bible too.
We have.
Great.
We have.
I can't hear us.
Formerly the reluctant cowboy, but now Capt'n Rick Sellers.
What's up?
And his, what are you, a sidekick? A service animal?
I think he's a service animal.
Service animal, Dennis O'Connor.
Yeah.
I once in a while co-host.
In the studios.
When he wants to.
And as I pointed out to Brett, the bathing hand sanitizer is not for a viral infection, it's for protection from Dennis.
That's it. Oh, no, mine is both. It does both.
There we go.
Oh, you got a dual use.
So you guys are...
Good for you.
You're...
Whoa. Look at you throwing
Rick's
caution
removing
to
the
the
glove.
wind.
The gloves are only good for like one time, right?
I'm not 70
So like
years
once you
old.
touch something.
I don't have to worry about dying. I'm 70. I'm 61. Jeez.
Oh.
They'll save me. They'll
Yeah.
protect me.
All right.
Not in Italy.
No.
I'm old.
No,
France is the
they
same
start
way.
with the younger first. They're like, sorry, dude.
Listener Brett's wondering if you two are planning on sanding an old barn, because that's what Dennis is wearing right now.
That is actually what I am wearing right now, yes.
What?
Sanding a barn,
Sandy, can't hear you.
Sanding them on. I'm trying to keep my
Sandy.
spit from reaching you because you're within 6 feet of me.
That's right.
You're almost safe.
Yeah,
Dick's totally safe.
so
it's 6 feet.
His spit is uncontrollable, so
It
we
is,
asked him to wear that mask.
Because I'm an old.
Well, he normally sits next to me, so he doesn't.
You
look
think
at
he's
me.
wearing that for Corona? No, he's wearing that so we allow him in the studio.
Oh gosh.
So,
Oh man, that's so funny. So
Wow.
the
What
brings you
reason, yeah, the
gentlemen to the
reason
studio?
Rick is in the studio is Rick rebranding
Yes, I am.
his show, which is now 7 days a week.
Yep.
From 3 to 7 p.m. on Lone Star Community Radio to the Captain Rick Show.
That's right.
And I like it.
Thank you.
It's from what I understand, it's a variety of music, different types of genres,
Everything.
interviews with different people. It's basically the normal afternoon show for any type of community radio show.
Right.
And I think that's wonderful. And the hat and the shirt, I mean, it's the Captain Ron. I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
it. I love it.
I mean, the persona that I have. Well, reorganizing, seeing as though we went, nonprofit, we have to change all the websites, have to do all that kind of stuff.
So we're working on that.
So what were
And-
you before?
For profit?
For profit.
No, but what were you before?
A .com. Now we
What
have
was your
.com.
show like before you've changed it?
Afternoons with Lone Star?
That
Oh.
was what I was
Well, it
getting
was,
after.
if you really want to know background of it, I started out being a country Western radio show.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
when we started the radio station, I set up different shows for volunteers if they were interested in DJing, learning how to DJ, so they didn't have to worry about the music selection. It's like, hey, you can do country, you can do this, you can do that, and these are the hours that are available. And Rick goes, well, I'll do this time slot, and then it was afternoon. We called it Afternoons Lone Star.
Yeah.
And then he did
so
it.
we changed our
5 years.
name, and now Rick changed his name.
Well, it's funny.
Everyone wants to change their name.
After a while, when Rick started doing a show, and he was like, "Can I play rock and roll and stuff? Because that's what I like." And I was like, "You can do whatever you want." And then after when he started doing that, I go, well, "We probably need to change the name because the graphics have like horses on it, and it's kind of confusing for a newbie." So I'm glad he's changing it to the Captain Rick Show.
Yeah.
It turned into classic rock. That's what got my attention.
The classic rock.
I'm an
Well,
old
we still
hippie
are
and I
doing
started
classic
listening to
rock.
that. Yeah.
Still are, but
Okay.
we're taking like upbeat of all types of different genres. All types.
All time.
All types.
Disco?
Any type.
It doesn't work that way.
Eddie James?
Yes.
Disco.
Eddie
Disco.
James.
I'll play some
No.
best- is it upbeat? I'll play.
Name me one downbeat disco.
I don't know.
He's got
Even
a
I Will
disco
Survive.
suit.
Even
I
I Will
even
Survive by Gloria Gaynor had an uplifting message.
Yeah.
There is no downbeat. That was the whole purpose of disco. It was
No,
love and party.
Jackson Brown has Disco Apocalypse, but it's upbeat, but the song's really depressing.
That wasn't a disco song.
But yeah, it was disco. It had the disco beat to it.
The disco beat.
You never heard Disco Apocalypse?
Disco
Man.
Apocalypse. Wait a minute. I'm going to write that down. I'll request
Yeah,
it.
it's
That's right down there with
I'm not there.
Rick Dees actually did a sequel to Disco Duck called Disco Rilla.
Yeah,
Which-
It's on his Hold Out album. Check it out. It's a good song.
Discorilla.
Get you moving.
And what year did that album come out?
I want to say the early '80s.
I want this conversation to end. No disco.
Then there's sorry, you're on our show now.
I know.
Well, I think that's what's neat about what Rick's show. What it does is open doors for folks who are in the community that want to, who do any type of music.
Right.
They can bring it in.
Right. Cough that way.
They play spoons.
What is there a funny comment on Facebook?
Yes, there is.
What is it? Is it inappropriate? Should I hide
Well,
it?
no, it's really funny. As Bert pointed out, boy, Tony Tennille, you sure have let yourself go.
Tony Tennille.
So people who are listening who want to listen to your afternoon show, we got classic rock is kind of the base.
Right.
But then when you have a guest on or you kind of go, hey, this new album came out, we're going to play the whole album of XYZ.
Right.
So you're not really doing the same thing every day.
No.
And I think that's important for folks to
Very much
understand.
so. Well, it's we've got different things happening. Now, Ken is coming back. Good old Ken,
Yeah.
the deep voice.
Classical music Ken.
Yeah, classical music Ken. And we're going to start an hour, which would
Okay.
be like basically you guys, the listeners, will pick the genre. And we'll pick, 5 to 10 songs and talk about each one of them. Talk about the.
He's smart.
That's right. That's
He
why I'm
knows
using
a
that.
lot.
I'm using him. And Buck Yeager is going to be doing his own little hour, bringing people in and local artists. I'm trying to keep some good stuff of Afternoons with Lone Star, which is, we did that for 5 years. We have a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
And add the new stuff in, because we're being reorganized. We used to fly by the seat of our pants. And
No, we
yeah,
did not.
We did it.
All those were
Yeah.
scripted shows that I was involved in.
Yeah, sure they were.
They were.
Well, we got way disrespected, actually. Yeah, actually, because I'm not going to mention the crew that came in, but I did. I did an interview. We had this place full, and I was trying to calm them down, trying to get it. Hey, we got to start this interview, and we got to. I'm doing all this stuff, and they wouldn't shut up. So I had to, yell, and my voice, I can get it out there, and I said, "F up." And, well, they did immediately. I said, I have to start a show. My God, people. So I felt like that for the past 5 years, when we have an interview, we were free flow, man. You just come on and sit down and no time limit, no whatever we talk about.
This.
We talk about.
It was open bar.
Yeah, open bar. That's right. So we're trying to get local schools involved.
Yeah.
And
No,
get
so you're toning it down, and
Yes.
you're bringing Dennis along. Like,
we always have to have some comedy.
is there a muzzle option to that mask?
Yes, yeah, it's called the mute
Sorry,
button.
I can't hear you over the raspy breathing. What was that,
It's
Dick?
called the mute button there, Dickie.
Oh,
You just press that button. I know which button was mine on that console.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
oh, that's fun. So really, your show it's all over the place in
All
a
over the
sense
place.
of, like,
But it'll be structured.
yeah.
And I'm going to be able to sell these little segments a lot more and getting the community involved. And that's what we are, a community radio station. So that's what I like. And I want to do that and get the high schools and the junior highs and get the other theaters that are in Montgomery.
College. The college puts on
Lone
great
Star,
shows and has great
college.
music.
But we do a lot of the
Squinted
theaters here.
myself.
We get
Well,
all the
I
time.
like it. That's
I
cool.
love it. But dang it, I want, Stage Works. I want other stuff down in Spring. I want
Points North.
Points North.
Points North.
I'm
That's what he
telling
was
you,
searching for.
I was searching for that. Thank you.
I
for
thought it was South
bailing
Point.
me out.
I thought it was South Point.
Sure, I'll take it.
South
Go
Park.
back to sleep, Dick. We're talking.
So, with that being said, we were like, God, with all of this coronavirus crap going around, I thought with all of these places closing down, the musicians are going to want to get their word out, their music out. And for the people who are just going to be homebound, stuck inside for the next
And now they're
30
stuck
days,
listening to us.
They're stuck listening to us. So give them something better. Give them something to listen
Yeah.
to. Bring local people in. That sort of thing.
Well, I think what Rick really was hoping for is when the bomb drops, he's the voice
Yeah.
of the post-apocalyptic radio.
Exactly.
45 traffic? No, 45 is gone.
So one thing I really enjoy, I love listening to radios and video games, and then also in like movies that are they create that segment. Like when you watch movies, they have a news segment specifically for the movie, not like a real thing. And I love watching those because some creative team got behind it, and so we got to write like this. And there's this video game called Fallout 3. And there's other Fallouts, and it's a post-apocalyptic
Presumably
world.
at least Fallout 1 and Fallout 2.
Yeah, well,
Possibly Fallout 4.
Is this going to be a long story?
No, so in the
my
game
favorite.
you have access to a radio, and then the part of the game is you listen to different radio stations, and one of them is like that's like the wolf dog or something like that. He's like terrestrial radio, trying to talk to people about post-apocalyptic survival skills and stuff, and I always enjoy that. So Rick's going to do that pretty soon.
Hell yes.
Where's the cleanest water? Which Walmart has the toilet paper?
Where you can get the toilet paper.
Yeah, I'm wondering how there's an app for that. Is there an app to find out where the toilet paper is?
There would have to be.
Proximity
like
wise?
divining rods.
What's so funny is you can't find the toilet paper in any of the grocery stores.
Yeah.
But you walk into a
God, he
convenience
coughed.
store. Like
I'm sorry, could you
walk into a gas station.
Yeah.
Man, their shelves are full of toilet paper. Full of it. Full of,
Well, the secret's out now, Sean.
Yeah.
If
What is
your
that?
wife needs toilet paper, go buy the 7-Eleven, man.
That's right.
No,
Funny.
we're
Gas
good. We
station.
just shop normally.
Yeah.
But I bet Randall's corporate office is really kicking themselves
don't
right
do
now
anything normal.
because they could have sold enough in this to pay the rent for the next
you really
18
are
months.
hoping that place sticks around, man. I
Well,
like
it's gone.
it.
No, it's gone. But Randall's corporate, you missed the boat on this
Safeway.
one.
Safeway.
Well, what's interesting about I was curious what's going to end up happening community wise with these grocery stores is how do they get their voices out individually? Do we know? Like, how does the HEB here on Fraser, North Fraser, be able to go on? Do they have their own social media?
Yeah, a lot of them have
it's
their
like,
own
hey,
thing.
we have toilet
Facebook
paper.
page.
And also in the Woodlands, has like half a dozen villages in this unincorporated
Yeah.
township. Aldenbridge, Sterling Ridge.
Is that because of the different cults?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I always wonder if they're divided by cults.
Yeah, they're
there.
cults.
I remember if they're
Yeah,
cults.
some of them are marry. They're intermarriage.
Yeah,
You know, a lot
the
of 'em.
Bohemian Grove too is over there. I
And
heard.
so
The one where they don't have kids.
I read my mother's neighborhood since she's
Yeah.
not on Facebook, and so I can keep tabs on. Like there was a gas leak, and on that one nearby,
Yeah.
they were able to say what it was.
And is it like an email? Because I remember
It's a Facebook group.
Okay,
Now
good.
you can also do the neighborhood. What's that neighborhood email thing you get?
Well, there's neighborhood app or whatever. Like I don't know what
next
it
door.
is.
Next door.
Because I'll never forget my grandmother freaking out when they made an announcement that they're no longer printing the neighborhood newsletter. They're going to email only. So she calls me and she goes, Richard, I needed something that can read emails. What reads emails? And I was like a computer?
Yeah, literally everything on the planet.
And she
now.
goes, I need one of those. I'm like, oh man, my grandmother needs a computer. And but what's weird is there's a market for elderly people using computers. So we set her up on this.
I get my AARP thing.
Yeah,
They're all
And
about
that's why the new
it's literally like two
things
buttons.
right?
It's like the keyboard is restricted.
Well, Julie has piped up. Glad to have you
piped
tune
up.
in, and she is asking
Thank you
about.
for piping up. We do before every show.
It's okay. Please go ahead. I'll wait until you're
Okay, go ahead.
done.
So Julie, what's Julie saying? What's Julie saying?
Well, she's wondering about. Well, we need to find the delivery truck. Julie, I think you tuned in later, so let me remind folks that robots make the toilet paper.
Yes.
And it's still being made, and people still delivering, people still stocking. This is just the first wave. Let people get out of their system.
Sean, isn't this a perfect opportunity if you're running for like mayor or city council to drive in an 18-wheeler full of toilet paper and it says, "Come meet me in downtown. We're giving away toilet paper."
There you go.
Was it kind of like that
For
American
$10
gangster
a roll,
when they're throwing
just for you.
when they're throwing
People are
turkeys?
soon going to be regretting every house TP they did back in their youth.
Yeah.
But
I mean-
Julie's surprised that toilet paper was first to go. And again, as I was saying earlier, it's one of the few things that people feel that they can control. This is just a thing that's way out of your control because there's no vaccination for this.
No.
If you get the coronavirus, you have to write it
I
out.
honestly think the reason it's out is what we said earlier in the program, Sean, where people started making a joke about it, and when people saw the joke, they had to ask reality, like, well, how much toilet paper do we really have, though?
Right.
And most
Do I have to go
people,
back
Yeah,
out?
most people live on E. Like they always have like two or three rolls, and it's like we gotta go right now.
that
to get it.
new mentality, new being GNU.
I went to the grocery
new.
store yesterday. This lady had 6 gallons of milk in her buggy.
Yeah, I
she
saw you-
wiped out the whole darn thing. Do you really need all that? Yes, I need it. It's gonna go bad before in 30
Well, how
minutes, it's
how
gonna
else
go
does she
bad.
boil her pig intestine, dude?
Apparently.
Come
But it's
on.
not just that. It's butter. It's eggs. I mean,
Well, Brett says that children's sugar cereal was the first to go in his grocery store.
Yeah.
So people just have this when there's a perceived
I think that's
loss.
because spring break was coming up.
Yeah,
and that's
there's
usually
that.
what happens.
Yeah, well, you have the kids in the house. Remember, the
I
higher
came
the
into
sugar
grandma's.
rush, the bigger
I
the
got
crash.
Twinkies
Well, Jay
yesterday.
Stillberg asked a really important question. I would love to get answers. He was asking,
Oh, I missed
what
that
about
one.
the kids? Not on our Facebook. He asked, what about the children who depend on the meals from schools because they do a breakfast lunch?
Well, some of the
thing?
schools are actually. I think it's.
So what about those kids who depend on that?
There are
that
some
food?
school districts that are still passing out the lunches. You drive through up to the school breezeway,
Yeah.
and they were passing out the lunches.
That was this is one of those moments that you try to figure out what's really not working in our
Right.
in our community, and I was like, that's a good question because I imagine there's several hundred kids who depend on that,
Mm-hmm.
in at least Montgomery
Oh,
County.
bunch.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's.
Bunch.
But the Captain Rick show's on Monday through Sunday. From
Well, you
3
can
to
find
7.
out the answers to those
Yeah.
really
8 days
hard-hitting
a week.
questions.
8 days a week.
So-
I know, the hard-hitting questions.
Rick, what prompted the 7 days a week? Because I do know that Afternoons with Lone Star was Monday through Friday.
Right.
What prompted
Well,
the other 2 days?
actually, we could have been 7 days. But now it is, I've just got to record the shows and make sure that
It's
they're
the
on
best
production.
of.
Best stuff for that week. I'll play on.
Oh, okay.
Saturday,
If you'd said earlier, I missed it. I probably tuned you out, or
Yeah,
Dennis
probably.
was saying something, and I can only input so much at any given moment.
Well, what's funny is he doesn't have headphones on, Dennis, so he hasn't been on for like the past 20 minutes.
So he did.
So he has no idea.
That's okay. I don't care.
Then what's that obnoxious drone I keep hearing in my headset?
Hey, if I would have had a set of headphones to have on, I would have
but
one on.
well, I'm worried about you because you're in that
really-
age bracket,
Yeah.
and then we don't want to have.
I ran out of headphones.
We don't want to get you infected. You know, so that's
Or
why.
don't we?
Infected.
Well, I'll give him headphones.
It doesn't say anything about what happens in your hair or your ears for
Well, Holly sent me.
coronavirus.
Holly
I
sent
have
me that fecal matter. It can be transferred. So
fecal matter.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
she's always sending me the updates.
Man.
She loves sending me the gross stuff, and I'm like, all right.
Fecal updates. I'm going to mess with
Fecal
somebody
No,
else's.
I asked Holly this. We watched that movie Outbreak, and
I
it's-
did too recently.
And it has I think it's a virus in that movie, but they try to make it scary where they don't want to show you what happens to the bodies after like they're finally in the final stages of the virus because
they turned to liquid inside.
Yeah, they did this whole like reflection off the mask.
Yeah, that was
And
a
I
good
go,
one.
Holly, do you think people would take this thing real serious if it turns you into like just green or something where it's people are like they can understand what's happening, and now it's just a fever, so people don't really know. Oh, I feel sick. I feel I have a cough, but instead of that, you're like coughing up like just something gross.
Your skin starts
Like
melting.
you're growing like a
Doctor,
six finger.
everything up his
Yeah,
nose,
again, there was
everything.
there was something about this one that was just a tipping point. Someone somewhere started it, and then just the collective psychic vibes behind it, like everyone hits the same supermarket checkout at the same time for some reason. They can have like 6 hours of nothing, and then everyone shows up at the same time. That same psychic mob mentality, which is where this is the Capt'n trips. This is the Stephen King super flu. It's going to kill us all.
Well, that's what we need.
What's up?
We need the Captain Rick show.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And
I
we
was
got-
tired of hearing
so,
that crap.
so we got Brett asking
Yes.
about, what about the parents who can't keep
I
their
had to
kids
wake
at
up early to
home?
be on here.
Yeah, what about the parents who can't keep their kids?
Allow me to start again. We have Brett asking, what about the parents who can't keep their kids at home because they have two jobs and barely squeaking by on that? And that of course, is real serious.
Well, like I said,
We can talk about that for a while, can't we?
My buddy Alan at Lowe's, basically, they're working, and if they get sick, they get paid. Mm-hmm. So I think certain industries are recognizing the idea of, if you aren't working, you're getting paid. But then some people will work in an industry where you have to be there to get paid, like the vendors from the Houston Livestock and Rodeo.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The local economy is going to take a huge honking hit on this.
I think, was it Mark Cuban said something about he owns the
He's-
Dallas Mavericks, said we're
He's
working on
paying
the way.
the custodial, the arena personnel.
That's right.
Which is
That's
awesome.
who's going to hurt the most.
Well, he probably made a call. It's like, this is the perfect time to actually clean the stadium.
Once in a while.
You know they don't really clean it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Pick up
again,
trash.
so many, like everything from the theaters to the concert venues to the restaurants to the event-based businesses like Taylorized PR, real estate, house cleaning. As I said yesterday, I kind of fussed, I may have said this off the air, I kind of fussed at my mom because she had her housekeeper show up yesterday. My mom got COPD, which when we had the doctor on the air, said this is the one person you really want to look out for. And I was trying to convince my mom, don't let the
People like
housekeeper
Rick, you
show
don't want
up
Rick showing up.
because her whole job, this lady's Karen is a lovely person, but her whole job is hitting as many people as possible and touching everything that they've touched. So I was like, Mom, just back up. The odds my
you
mom
just
getting
gotta-
this are pretty grim.
Social
but-
distance.
Well, what you need to do is you need to watch
Social
out for
distance.
people who contact a lot of people. Like I saw Dennis come out of the sewer grate, and I'm like, oh man, we cannot touch him
That's why he
because you
has
don't
his
know.
Purell.
Yeah, you don't know where he's
I
been.
am trying to do. I'm trying
And
to.
where papers, please?
I don't need those fake
I'm
papers.
private. I'm
Now,
private.
Misty actually raises a really good point because it could easily become the fact that a lot of, if school districts shut down, there would be a homeschooling alternative. We know that Misty's a big proponent of
Yeah,
homeschooling.
yeah.
So could that make it more mainstream? Because I know homeschooling is constantly having to overcome the stigma
Big time.
of being,
Right.
and this could be something going, and that's what, I think that's the thing I was trying to say earlier that I blanked out on, like the two takeaways. One is that, to adapt to that, if we're in a society where like homeschooling becomes the norm, it can overcome that stigma. Same thing with the telecommuting. When you realize, okay, this meeting could have been done with an email, that could actually set the new normal.
Well, that's what I sent out for the studio to everybody. I was like basically saying, hey, if you're going to have a show and you have a guest, we do allow phone calls and Skype calls. So they're all, because some people just cancel. They're like, I don't want to. I'm like, well, if you still need to get information out there, we could still manage it.
That's right.
So
Yeah, even the Facebook live thingy. I know I've seen some people, that friends of mine who do interview shows. They have a split screen, and this person is miles away, states away, and they're doing an interview. You know, and it's flawless. I don't know how to do that myself.
Well, and I think that's what I'm interested in seeing, because I know yesterday there was a big social media thing where an Italian person went on their social media, and basically their sister died, and they wouldn't come get the body.
Oh, jeez.
So he was doing like a FaceTime thing, and the body was right behind him.
Whoa.
And I was like, and I didn't really when I saw that I was like, oh, that's different. And
stuff like that's good for the short term. But as
real.
Brett points out, you can't have society where people don't socialize. I mean,
Right.
sooner or later, you have to. Now, here's something I do want to talk about, because this is a headline I came across today from multiple sources. The Chinese presidency, basically the Chinese administration, is threatening to withhold medications from America. You know that between 80 to 90% of our medications are manufactured in China.
Oh, shucks.
And they're basically saying
Did not know that.
the Chinese PR machine has said America needs to thank us because America spread the virus. We were controlling it. They spread it. They need to thank us and get down on their knees and basically kiss our ring, or we're not going to give them.
That's how Rick acts on the show.
Well,
you gotta do
I
that.
think this is now high time to relook at reopening drug manufacture here in America. Think about the job possibilities.
Yeah.
Because this is an entire industry we turned over to a foreign nation.
Well,
So-
according to the Trump I listened to the other night, he said we had the greatest and bestest medical thing in the whole world, universe.
We do.
The greatest, absolutely the greatest in the universe.
Yeah, we do.
So how come we don't?
Pound for pound, Dennis.
we don't have drugs. That seems like a big part of the medical.
Well, when you're a wealthy enough and successful enough country to be able to farm out a major industry to help another nation, and of course they take it and corrupt it and run with it, that's when you take it back. That's one of the reasons we're a superpower.
Well, I mean, I think it's something. Again,
they pirated the drug industry.
Again,
China
that's
pirated
what
it.
I'm interested in. I was
We
asking
want it
that
back.
earlier, is the impact of this. What really culturally will change down the road? Because, like I said, do you think people will become gerbophobes? Do you think, hopefully everyone starts listening to Lone Star Community Radio because we're an emergency signal. And,
Right. No, I don't think people become
They don't know
germaphobes.
that.
Here's the thing. Something like this will increase awareness and education and become a little better as a result.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, basically knowing what to do, knowing what not to do, that you don't have to steal the. So on a micro level, it's, don't load up on toilet paper that you don't need, because
Do you think anybody's going to listen to that? I mean, who was doing it in the first place?
Well, I think
What
it
type
only
of
takes a
mindset?
couple
it's the
people.
knee-jerk reaction.
It only
As
takes a
I've
couple
said
people,
earlier,
so.
America is great at knee-jerk reactions, but to counterbalance that, they have notoriously short attention spans. So this week, everything's shutting down. Everyone's hogging the toilet paper. In 2 weeks, we're either going to all be dead from a super flu, or we're going to go, hey, I'm not dead. There's much to do about nothing. I need to go back out.
Let's change.
okay.
Let's change the conversation
That's
to
okay.
a positive. How do we take advantage of this situation?
Sell your toilet paper for $10 a roll.
So you think that? You think you go
Yeah,
on
man.
Facebook Market and be like, "Yo, man, I got all this toilet paper."
Yeah. After that point, you got to
Yeah.
sell it. Yeah.
That's the way
I
the
say
stock
bring
market.
back less reliance, especially on China. For that, I think to bring back as Brett said, the grunt work of manufacturing drugs that can only help our economy.
That's a serious question.
Well,
I don't want that. I want.
Isn't the only reason we went there is because it was financially better? You can make more money by sending it to China and sending it back. As hard as that.
Well, after Nixon
is to
went to
imagine.
China to reopen trade relations, we had to give them something, and it's like, okay, this is what else? Electronics from Japan and medications from China. Those are the two big ones.
Yeah, but there's
And
tons of stuff
tchotchkes.
from China.
What?
I mean, there's tons of stuff. Go into Walmart, find me a thing that says "Made in the USA."
Well,
There's
Walmart's the wrong
tons.
thing. Walmart is made in the USA materials only, unless they changed it after Sam Walton died. That was his thing. Nothing from China came out of Walmart.
I want some fun things suggested here. Like
Yeah.
for example, where would you go?
lighter side.
What would you do when everyone's just in their house? Like, what do you take advantage of?
Netflix. I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, Dennis, taking self stock. Hey, taking a breather, getting your work done in your pajamas, and realizing, hey, I can do this. It doesn't have to be this stress thing, and then you can go back to your corporation
Yeah,
and say,
Holly
listen,
started
my productivity
gardening.
actually went up when I was not having to fight traffic and this and
Yeah.
that.
It doesn't make I-45 look very good.
No.
I'm telling you, the longer you stay on your computer at home,
Yeah.
the less you're going to want to
I've
drive
had to start on
to
a new
Houston.
screenplay, so this is giving me a moment to do that, as well as catch up on work.
Well, Rick's doing his show.
Rick's
So he's
increasing his show.
working on all that stuff,
Working
and
at it.
it's a perfect
You
time
are,
to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a working fool.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine.
Because I know the major things like I'm at like Disneyland closed. Like unfortunately we can't go there to take advantage of the lack of people. But I feel like here you can do some fun thing like spend time with your family.
Right.
And it's kind of like what happened with Harvey after like because up here it wasn't as impactful as down south. I was lucky. I was with my future wife at that time. She was with me. And I got to spend 6 days with her, which was very rare. Like we've been dating and stuff. So I was like, oh, now we get to spend time together. And then after the 6 days, I was like, get out of here.
I think it'll return to normal, and I really feel very positive about that because I agree with Trump on some of the stuff he said about Americans are resourceful, Americans are resilient, and we have been, and we've been through some crap, in small places and in very large places, and I'm not sure, Skippy, what the cultural effect will be. That's a great question. We'll see.
I asked that question. He didn't ask that question.
Oh, I you asked it, I answered
I
it.
thought he was.
No, I'm the smart one in this.
I get Skippy and Dickie mixed up. Yeah,
Remember, Dick is a politically engaged
I want to go back
one.
to the Dick that used to say, "I don't
Okay.
care. I don't care."
Yeah,
That was his thing.
I
man.
beat that out of him pretty quick.
Well, let me ask this on the market stuff because you talked about Skippy was talking about the market. So there's now a time to invest in certain things.
Oh man, it's going awful bare and
Yeah, like it's now
I
a
don't
time.
even-
How can we
it's
take advantage
falling.
of this scenario, guys?
No, don't ask me.
It's like
Make a video game.
I'm hoping Social Security
Yeah.
check
what
comes.
do you think, conspiracy theory wise, is someone's like on the large scale taking advantage right now? Like it's like
Large scale conspiracy. Oh my God, they're figuring out how
evil.
you can really destroy this company, this country.
no, I don't think that. I think it's.
The
I'm
pandemic
asking.
spreads.
How do we make the most
No,
money out of
You're
this?
talking about the Wall Street folks?
Yeah, how are we making the most money
Oh, I'm
today,
sure.
guys?
I don't know.
dropped
I would
8 points
defer my
yesterday.
comments to Skippy.
Well, there are no benefits to this. I mean, I've actually got.
I don't know. I feel like there's
I have
always
a family member who's very young, in her young 20s, with a lot of like-minded friends who are actually rejoicing at the possibility that the current president and vice president may die.
Oh, jeez.
That
Well, what's that got to do with the stock market?
Well, the thing is that we've reached that point to where the total lack of regard for life in that situation, to where you have people are wanting this to become a
He switched
politicized.
gears there, man.
People
My
wanting
brain's
to,
going.
if I can
keep up
finish.
with him. No, just go ahead. I got lost at a couple
Well,
tracks
he's
back.
he's basically saying that when these things are happening on the world scale,
Don't
people
you try to explain him later.
people use it as
Yeah.
to excuse their behavior to act
Exactly.
a certain way, and their behavior right now is saying this is great because this either will kill
The
a
people
leader
who
or
are only finding something positive in this are, yay, let's, being accused, only old people will die. No one wants this. No one's asking for it. So those who are rejoicing are wanting bad things to happen to people.
yeah.
Yes, nobody out
It's
there
not-
would want me to die.
This is not to make money
Well,
off.
maybe 6.
You could rob a bank, couldn't you? No, because the police are still there.
This virus is not
not
to
to that
make money
point.
off of. It's to, the best thing that can happen in regards to our economy is there will be a market correction. Not the best way. Sooner or later, the market would have to correct naturally anyways, because you just can't have day after day, year after year of record-breaking trading and Dow Jones levels. Sooner or later, it's gonna.
It's
be a
funny.
depression recess.
Sean was thinking. You remember Will, the barbecue guy?
Yeah.
I was like, he should probably make an announcement that he's cooking because everyone's at home in the neighborhood.
That's
So make a neighborhood announcement saying, hey, I'm cooking, 18 hours. Come by, but get a plate, and then that way,
There you go.
It's going to help the families. I know there are going to be a lot of times that I know a friend of mine I saw yesterday that he didn't. I'm not going to go on vacation. And his industry was a kind of, gosh, how can I say
Spit it
this
out.
correctly? It's an industry that's self-helping.
Like the porn?
Well, okay,
What?
and I'm not going to tell
Okay,
you.
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. But it's very hard for him
I like
to get
it.
his
Leave it
product.
ambiguous.
This is the Captain Rick Show.
And it's something that my God, how could people live without this? And you can't get it. You know,
Yeah.
it just, you need this product and you can't get it.
It's
And
BDSM?
And
What are we going?
pretty much
Dominatrix stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, you have to have this. People live, and they're going to be in their home all day long. People don't want to go out to California.
I bet there's
People
some
don't
weird,
wanna
creepy
go
stuff
to-
going online right now.
Capitalism is supply and demand, and,
Yes.
and if the demand rises for something, right?
Right.
Somebody
money's gonna have to be
somebody's got to be there to take care of it. And I'm sure there are some people that are looking out ahead in the financial areas of going, we can make hay, while the sun
There's
shines.
got to
here.
be.
Well,
There's
you know?
got to be.
With or without the virus, the market's low. You buy low, you sell high. Brett said you short
Yeah.
a few stocks. This is where I'm digging under the sofa for change. As soon as the dust settles a little bit, I'm investing in something.
of
This
course.
is the time to do it. This is what capital. So
we
we're
should-
not
I saw
hoping
all
for
the
a
things
virus.
on that all the stocks are going down, even gigantic stocks, which
Where's Gordon Gecko when you need him, right? Because he could answer that question seriously. There's got to be something,
Koch
you know.
brothers.
Well, no, it's funny because I was like, for example, South by Southwest closed.
Yeah.
So a
But that's not
restaurant.
because of the coronavirus. That's because Adele backed out. Their big sponsors backed out of South by Southwest. So they closed because of that.
well, they backed
It
out
had
because
nothing
of
to
the
do with
virus.
coronavirus.
It had nothing to do with the coronavirus.
How do you? I mean, I
How
read
do you
it.
know that?
Yeah.
I know what you read. It's wrong. It's false. Fake
Oh
news.
yeah, low conspiracy theory. Well, anyway, what I was trying to say is
Whatever you say, Captain, I'm right with you.
they closed South by Southwest, and a restaurant in San Antonio is like, oh man, all those bands. So what he did was impromptu festival where he basically just made an announcement saying, hey, we're gonna pay if you're a local artist, contact me, we'll let you play. We're gonna have like an 18-hour party for 4 days straight. So you have our bands for 18 hours, and then we'll pay you.
A little grassroots. I'm saying, getting back to the norm. Speaking of theaters earlier, a lot of theaters. There's a meme that went out that a lot of theaters are grabbing and running with, and I think it's a great idea. They're saying if you have a ticket to a show and you can't make it, think about donating it back instead of asking for a refund. Donating the cost of that to the theater.
Yeah, I know
Wow.
the Crichton will give you your money back. I know that.
Yeah.
And they will, but a lot of
So
these
send your
theaters.
money to where you're talking about.
Yeah, so instead of asking for your money back, just swallow it. Now, some theater, we're actually looking at the possibility of live streaming a show, setting up some
that'd be
cameras
great.
and
Wouldn't it?
live streaming.
I need to
and
talk to you
some
about that.
some play publishers, because God knows I'm on all their lists, have been saying, for a slight addition to your licensing agreement,
We'll let
for
you
like an extra $100, we'll let you do a live stream.
that makes
Under
sense.
this. And so, we'll adapt accordingly, but the theaters are going to.
That'd be a neat advance. That's going to force an advance, which I think is greatly needed. Wouldn't that be cool to have some of our great musicals with the Owen and the Crichton streamed? I think.
Well, that's going to happen for sure.
Well, I think that VR tech would be really cool.
Yeah, but this is for something because they need the money now. Like I said, their Stageworks right now is juggling the fact that there are two shows that need to get paid for.
Yeah.
That the money's already gone out, so it's not they're not need to get paid for. You need to put the money back in the account because the tickets aren't selling enough to do it. I don't know about the Owen, but I intend to go myself
sold
tonight
out.
to go see the show.
They're,
you should
they're
do,
sold
Sean,
out.
Sean, here's an idea for
I
you.
can
There's
guarantee
only-
you if I show up tonight at the Owen, there will
Well,
be
you're a
plenty of
big
seats.
wig.
No.
But I mean, I checked
Sure.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they're pretty much just maybe one seat available.
Well, hopefully people aren't
and that's
asking
that's
for a
that
refund.
that struck me as odd because since the Owen is owned by the city of Conroe and they only seat 250. And they said that anything that is owned by the city of Conroe, and you can't have 250, it has to shut down. That's an odd thing.
Well, that's what they're going to do. They're counting the people that come through the door, sitting down. More than
No,
250, you're done.
No, in the house.
Yeah.
Cast.
Yeah,
Crew.
everything, everything.
No, cast, crew.
Everything. Everybody gets counted.
So how are they?
You're both saying the same
Never
thing.
mind. Never mind. It's
Sean,
it's
Sean, I got
everyone-
an idea.
Yes.
the
So
city
you're a
council
writer.
is ignoring that.
You're a writer.
Is what I'm saying.
What you should do is write a parody song of My Sharona called My Corona.
Actually,
My
many years ago, I
Corona?
wrote a song
And-
called Nine Coronas.
And basically, the theme of the theme of the song is donate your money to your local theater.
There we go.
And you have a theater perform it. You have a theater cast perform it.
Corona.
Yeah, and Hanson, great.
like
Yeah,
that.
it's universally awful to have live theater on film, but this is theaters. Some theaters are going to be struggling to survive and recover from this one. This could hit someone. So you got to give the audience something because you can't rely on an audience to say, yeah, I spent my 50, 60, 70 bucks for 2 tickets. I'll just swallow it. They may not be able to because
Right,
now
sure.
they're not working. They're having to suddenly pay for additional child care or health care. So it's right now the theaters are scrambling, and every theater's looking at what every other theater's doing. Who's canceling? In the Alley last night, they canceled their performances.
Broadway
to
went,
where, yeah. Well, when that happened, a lot of local community theaters went, well, great, because as long as Broadway or the Alley or the bigger ones, we kept going, we could tag on with that. But now we'll be the bad guys who are coming to our theater and get sick.
Well, I
Rising
think-
Stars is done. They canceled.
Yeah, did we?
Stars.
I got some information recently at 8:00 this morning from Margie. If you want to hear it.
All right.
Yeah,
Is
she
it about
said
toilet
that-
paper locations?
Huh?
Is it about where toilet paper is?
Well, no, that she special messaged me on that one. But anyway, this morning I asked her about this, and she said Marcia has been moved. Marcia Ball, that was about to go on stage, which I wanted to see so bad because I love her very much, and the cat that does the
Robin Williams
Robin
impersonator.
Williams thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Marcia's is possibly August.
Yeah, they tried to reschedule.
And she said to go to the Conroe Art League National Exhibit. I mean, the Conroe Art League site, and look up National Exhibit. Now, I don't know what National Exhibit means, but I think Marcia Ball's presence is going to be felt when she finally rolls in. She also said Chalk Up Conroe is to be rescheduled, and possibly the wine tasting event. The definitely the Chalk Up Conroe, but I don't know why she said possibly wine tasting, and because I wrote it down really close because I know my brain's not any good at
500
this.
glasses they
So-
need to fill. Hey, 500 of these glasses. What are you going to do with them?
In the first,
Well, let
the
me ask
first
you this.
Thursday concert in Farmers Market for April is gone. It's canceled. Yeah, and the Kids Fest is canceled. That's
That's
what
kind of
she-
extreme. That's the
that's-
last Saturday of April.
well, that's what I'm just reading word by word.
What do you think, Sean? Let me ask you
what
this:
she said.
When we know, like what you said is,
I'm not quite done with that. I'm trying to fill in the whole
Well, you can
arts
find-
and legends thing. The
So tune back into Dennis on the Captain Rick show.
The Montropolis is moved to May 31st. Okay, that's the thing about the big band. Okay, and
no one knows what that
I
is.
know- I have no idea what you just said.
Now you're just talking about.
Montopolis. You don't know about this thing they're doing? They got a classic.
Spit it out. Come on.
Classic band playing. They got videos going and all about big band, and it's all about. I thought you were.
Are you talking about?
Stuff.
Houston? Are you
sent
talking
us
about
anything.
Houston? Are you talking
No,
about?
no. This is at the Crichton Theater.
They haven't sent us any
It's been
information.
moved to May 31st. Anyway, Montopolis, and that's the name of it. The Bach, Beethoven, and barbecue canceled, but the finals competition of Young Texas artists is still on, and that's all the information
But
I got.
not really
as of
open to the
this morning.
public, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. No. It's
They said
definitely open
limited.
to
They
the
said
public.
limited, and if you're a big sponsor, you get in.
Just like NBA.
Yeah, well,
So that's what
you
they
got
said.
the money, you get in. You ain't got the money, you don't
Well,
get
that's
in.
what like talking to Sean. Sean made the comment of you look like the bad guy if you like host something, and when you have this decision where across the board everyone's like closing everything. And I was asking Holly this. I go, when do you think it's reasonable? Who makes the decision that it's okay to start going to places? Because you kind of said we naturally do that. We wait we have a waiting period in our brain. And
Right.
It's like,
There's no.
But-
It's funny if you remember after 9/11.
Yeah.
There was a mourning period, and what turned it around. And I'm not a fan of the show at all. But Mayor Rudy Giuliani got on Saturday Night Live and just looked at the camera and said, "Can we be funny again?"
Okay.
And everyone went,
Yeah, I remember that.
And that.
Well,
It's someone asking for permission or someone granting permission to get over it, that'll happen. That's why the local theaters are bummed that the Alley and Broadway and everyone else, these big ones, are closing. Now, those who we can only hope that you come to the show this weekend, you don't get sick as a result. It's a gamble. You're playing the odds.
Well, even if it's just it's just the flu. It's a strain of the flu, from what I understand. So it's
it's strain of the common cold.
Okay, but it's going to be around. So like 10 years from now, people could get it.
Yeah.
So
it's a coronavirus.
Yeah.
Which is also, the common cold is a coronavirus.
So that's why in my mind I was thinking.
It's not the coronavirus.
I was thinking that,
one
like,
of many.
I know our bodies, develop immunities.
But SARS is still around. Bird flu is still around. H1N1's still around. It's just
MERS.
Yeah, MERS.
Polio.
Ebola.
Is polio coming back?
Chickenpox, measles. They're all there. You just with better care.
What do you think it's because we don't really know? No one really tells us.
This is the great unknown. This is the one.
Is there some report the CDA or CDC puts out every month? Like, oh, here's some confirmed cases of XYZ.
It's a daily thing, and there's a website that is it's a hotspot.
But no one really pays attention to it until it.
No, if you want to be tripped out, go to the global hotspot site. I can't remember the URL, but it shows where every natural disaster, pandemic, epidemic, outbreak, whatever, is there on a world map, and and the severity, it's the color, and it would freak you the heck out when you see it, what's going on in the world. Again, this is affecting us. Now, the fact is that, in Italy, so many people are dying right now.
Tons of them.
China, so many people have died. And you've got this whole unconfirmed report that, like, in Iran, there's mass graves you can see from space, kind of stuff. It hasn't even been confirmed
I don't go to
yet.
those sites.
No, this is quote, reputable news sites are posting this, saying, "Oh, look, you can see these mass graves from space."
Oh, that was from 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Well, that's one thing I'm always wondering, because this is going to be around, but it just takes one person, whoever we want to be our leader, go, hey, you can go to the theater, guys.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Well, and it's probably going to be a relatively small person or entity like a local theater to say, we kept going, the Owen or Stageworks or Points North or whomever, saying, hey, we're open for business, we're okay. And every week that we don't die is a week where we get over it as Americans pretty darn quick.
Well, the closing of the Montgomery County Fair is really causing a lot of hubbub on Facebook. Have you seen the folks that have these?
These vendors are dying.
Well, not vendors; they've been raising these animals.
This was a parents thing. That is opening something up to hopefully.
But they're still going to give the prizes. They're
Well,
still
the thing,
award
this is
those.
something I don't really get, is in this understood situation, why cancel it? Just postpone it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of things. There's a lot of working parts. For certain.
It gets on the wording. Everything's being postponed. Well, here's the thing. XFL. They said, okay, season's over.
Well, no,
but
the fair's been canceled. They did not. They did not say
because
we're postponing it.
Unfortunately, you got to plan these things a year out in advance.
Yeah,
for the
I wonder
for the
about the fair. The Montgomery County Fair, because a chicken is going to be a chicken, in a month in a chicken's life is a lot. From having raised a few animals myself.
It's the venue.
And so. These people go to this. They're shooting for this date. These kids are shooting for this date to have the best animal they can have. All these
we're already
weird
over
animals.
2020, guys.
And now we're rushing. And now to tell them, oh wait, maybe a month and a half.
But here's the thing,
2 months.
depending on the
I
venue,
don't know how that affects
you
the
can't
animals.
because the rest of the year is already planned out. It's like, well, if we push you back a month, who is the people there? We can't push them back.
Yeah.
We
that's what I was
can't
saying
push
about
the
sports
show back
venues
2 months
stuff.
because we have another show already planned and paid for.
You know who's really hurting right now are those gamblers. Those gamblers.
What the USFL football team we had a while ago?
Yeah. No, I meant the soccer people and the hockey people and who's just like, how's Vegas doing right now?
Well, all they do is they turn the bet into when are we going back up?
Yeah.
Or fantasy football.
Now, I thought you wanted to see the glass half full. Let's not talk about the poor gamblers.
I know.
That's the glass half empty. They're dying out
that
there.
was my conspiracy theory about the soccer and all that stuff, because they were like, oh, we're going to play behind closed doors. It's like, I guarantee you the sole reason of doing that is for the gambling people, because how much money gambling brings into.
This is true. I like that idea. Yes. He's smarter than I thought.
But then, of course, they did the right thing and canceled it, because some people are pretty wild when it comes to sports, and they don't really care about other people. So they'll.
No, March Madness is a huge thing. I mean, huge.
Yeah. Well, I think March Madness is a huge thing, but I think it's bigger on the TV.
Yeah.
You know, that, to me, it's always been a bigger thing on the TV, not because
what
you're
are
watching all the games.
What are the casinos like as far as gamblers go? Do you know old people pulling the slot machines? They must go through a lot of hand cleaner. You know,
I don't know. I doubt they even clean it.
Once you're on it, you only need
They
to
don't
clean
leave.
it once.
They don't-
but
yeah,
all the
they don't-
tokens that have been handled by all these people. Oh, this
We
must
just shouldn't
be
go
tough
out even
stuff.
after this blows over. Just don't go out. Let's see how long we can go for.
Well, it will determine, as I was saying earlier, like with work, the same thing. Determining, hey, we didn't have to have these meetings. We could have done an email. Hey, you don't have to come in. Same thing with March Madness. Wouldn't it just be a kick in the teeth if no one really cared about it? When they, NCAA can't risk people going, hey, we don't need this. We don't.
Hey, it just turns out
we don't need
I
the whole
wasn't
season.
that big.
Yeah. That's what'll hurt them.
Well, that's what I was reading a deal because I like soccer, and they were talking about they basically suspended the seasons, and then they go, well, how are we going to realistically bring this back? Because all the stats and whatever. And one league is proposing just doing a playoff. When they come back, they only have 2 months really left. They're just going to do a playoff. So basically, if you're at the bottom of the table, you're not playing anymore.
There you go. We'll adapt. That's one thing America can do like no other nation. We adapt.
Every sports team will have an asterisk next to their name, just like the Astros.
There
They
you
did
go.
in the football when it was strike season.
Yeah.
Same thing. There's an asterisk, 1984, because they didn't play the whole year.
Yeah, they didn't really win the title this year because coronavirus.
So how is the all this coronavirus going to affect the Captain Rick show, which is
It's
supposed
gonna
to come
be
on
great
8 days
for
a
us.
week?
Well, we don't want
for
Captain
3
Rick to
7.
get it.
No, it's going to be great because I can get people on the show, come in, and I'll spray everything down with Lysol.
Well,
so
it's
that I can
It's
get
part of the
musicians
show.
come in.
They
Part of
call
the
it spraying it down with
Spray it
Captain
down.
Rick.
Spray it
They
down.
put you on video. You bring it. You're
Yeah.
in your speedo or in your under. In your.
When's the last time?
some
When's the
visuals
last
for
time
me.
the surface of this desk was cleaned, Rick?
I think
Prick.
like 3 days ago.
Yeah, 3
Dick.
days ago.
The mics were cleaned before y'all got in.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're clean.
And but no, let me ask you this, Rick, because we
Lysol.
only have so many more minutes
Okay.
in the show.
Yes, sir.
When are you starting, Captain Rick?
I am started on Wednesday as my
So this
big day.
Wednesday, upcoming
I
Wednesday.
thought it was Monday.
Yeah, be quiet. I am doing a best of for Monday and Tuesday. I'm
Good
coming
luck
in
with
sort of
that.
like the best of
for Friday and Saturday,
right.
Or Saturday, Sunday. Sorry.
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, so the 18th you're live and
Yes.
you're rebranding your social media.
Yes.
So have you done that yet?
I need to talk to you about that because I can't get into. I need to create my own website. I can't hook it up to Afternoons with Lone Star or
Okay.
change that name. It won't let me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. And so right now, what I'll tell people is like Afternoons Lone Star.
Right.
And it'll be converted over to Captain
Yes,
Rick
it will.
on Facebook.
I'm looking to do that.
So
I
there
don't
you
want to. All the people have liked it, and they are tuning into it.
You don't want
They
to lose
wanna
your
know it.
underlings, man.
That's right.
The people you influence.
Because I've had a lot of good people
Well,
who
those
listen.
are those are your customers who
Yes.
buy the toilet paper
That's
from
right.
you.
That's right. I'll give them a discount.
I kind of want to go on Facebook Marketplace just to see what people are selling.
No, wouldn't that be funny? Oh my God! But I'm doing the best of. So I'm bringing the best of Afternoons with Lone Star on Monday and Tuesday, and then on.
Is that going to include that Queen retrospective we did a couple
that
of
be
years
nice?
ago?
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, sure.
Music's good.
I love music.
Oh yeah,
But you know it's gonna die, right?
No, it's gonna die.
The music's dead.
No.
Because
Because they're homebound, people are gonna pay attention to what going outside and going to a venue. I'm bringing it to them.
You will bring all the latest news too.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
We'll talk about coronavirus
we just
for
got
a
we
minute.
were just demonstrated with his skill, Dennis's skill of writing down and then not really knowing that's what you wrote down. But
He has a senility book that helps
the
him be
segment,
senile.
the segment's called ironically fake news.
Right, fake news with Conroe.
That's pretty funny. But thank guys for coming in. Captain Rick show. It's going to start on the 18th.
Yes.
Their time slot is 7 days a week on Lone Star Community Radio from 3 to 7. And don't confuse people.
Thank you for having us. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Wash your
Good
hands.
seeing you,
I'm not
man.
shaking her hand.
After
Yeah,
you
right.
clean your fish, wash
We're
your
going to
hands.
virtually hug on this
Yes,
one.
So thank you again, buddy.
No, we
Virginally,
won't.
huh?
When we're off the air, we just
Okay.
get in it. No, but yeah, thank you listen for Dick and Skippy in the mornings. We'll be back on Monday, the 16th. And make sure to follow us and keep up with what's going on. I believe we have Jay Stittleberg coming in
Awesome.
on the 16th. He's talking about his
Love Jay.
suicide prevention. He's doing a presentation.
Very awesome,
This is
great
a really long name. Montgomery County
suicide
Health
prevention
or Health something.
Yeah, Jay, help us out here, but it's good, be great to have you in the studio. And don't forget for this weekend, beware the Ides of March.
Oh yeah, and then St. Patrick's Day is on Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
So-
been
Oh,
canceled.
I tell you.
It's been canceled.
It's been canceled?
The damn thing's been canceled.
What's the joke? Kiss the leprechaun?
Kiss an Irishman.
Kiss my Barney Stone.
Don't kiss him.
Bump dance with an Irishman.
Okay. Thanks for listening to Dick and Skippy in the mornings. Sean, I'll see you later, man.
See you, Dick.
Good to see you, and it's good. Thank you so much for listening to today's show.
Princes of the universe, fighting.
Today's show was recorded and broadcasted live on irlonestar.com, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and all rights and ownership are reserved to Lone Star Community Radio. For more information regarding this program and Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, serving the community with local programming on TV, radio, and online. If you enjoyed today's program, please support us by sponsorship or starting your own show. Contact us today by phone or text at 936-666-1084 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.